Ladies and gentlemen, another episode of the Horns Down podcast. Got to throw those horns down always. F the haters, y'all already know. I know y'all going to come in here and say get a life, all the rest of the stuff, but it's fine. It's fine. Look, college football season has ended, but you know college football never ends. Got my guy Barry with me from the Barry and Mack Show. What's up, Barry?
Doing all right, man. How about yourself? Happy to be here.
Hey, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So, today, folks, we're going to get right to it. We're going to talk about Jackson Arnold, 5 reasons why he's going to be successful in 2024. But we'll do that right after the intro.
You know, there's a lot of great OU podcasts, but there's only one where the horns are always down. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Horns Down Podcast.
Kchris with a K, your host, back with another episode of the Horns Down Podcast, talking and giving you guys 5 reasons why Jackson Arnold will be successful in 2024. Moving into the SEC. Hey guys, hope everything is going well with you guys. It's been a minute. Yes, we're back. Got a couple of episodes we're going to bump out. These are just some recordings. We'll get back to the lives here in a little while, especially around leading up to the spring game and then after the spring game as well. Definitely excited about that, and hopefully we'll see all you guys out there. But no further ado, let's get right to the business. Barry, man, look, Jackson Arnold is going to be just fine. I love all the chatter that I'm hearing right now from winter workouts, different things that you're gonna see coming into this season. We're getting some key guys back. We're doing a lot of those things, but we're going to focus on Jackson Arnold today. So let's get right to it. So I'll give you reason number 1 for me. We can go back and forth on these 5 reasons. On these 5 things. So reason number 1 for me is defense. You're returning Danny Stutzman and Billy Bowman. You're returning your guys. Oh, wait a minute. You're returning Justin Harrington. We never got to see those packages that everybody wanted. Everybody talked about. You would have Deshaun McCullough out there. You would have Harrington out there. I mean, it was going to be beautiful. But I think that obviously this second wave of the portal, people are wanting to see some movement on that D line. But guys, I'll say this right here. I think that you're going to see the emergence of a lot of guys. I think Ashton Sanders, I think Grayson Halton, I think those are guys that are going to be in the rotation. Obviously, you're bringing in Jaden Jackson. You're bringing in Stoney as well. I think those guys, definitely Stoney is going to have a lot of production next year. But the fact of the matter is don't be surprised if you see Sammy Amesigo, if you see Lewis Carter out there, if you see the emergence of some of these younger guys. I think Kip and Kanik, I wanted to see who takes that jump, who takes that Danny jump. But your secondary is extremely talented. Barry, what you think about the defense this year? Or this coming
they're going to be able to lean on it, right? You're going to a different conference that plays different kind of football. Yeah, there's some teams that open it up, but for the most part, and I apologize for being a little under the weather, guys, but for the most part, you're going to have a team for the first time in golly, a decade, maybe more, where you've got legitimate NFL talent, Kchris, at every level of the defense. Mm-hmm. You got guys that last year, some of your NFL guys who are going to be those future players, those Omesigos and Carters, were on the bench getting some seasoning. Mm-hmm. This year, they're going to be in the fold. They're going to be a part of the depth. They're going to be a part of the rotation, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to see guys like Sammy O. You're going to see guys like Lewis Carter, who's one of the most natural backers that they have, really strong. So you got a defense that you're going to be able to lean on, create takeaways, create momentum, right? Well, during that Alamo Bowl, when was OU at their best? When was Jackson at their best? Mm-hmm. When they were bouncing off of the defensive success.
Mm-hmm. No, I definitely agree with you. And one thing, gosh, why is his name skipping my mind right now? The kid that transferred from Bama to Ohio State.
The safety?
Yes.
Dadgummit.
Why are you forgetting his name?
I'll think of his name in a second.
Hey, it'll pop up. It'll pop up, guys. But, you know, my opinion is that I think the best is yet to come for Peyton Bowen. And I think that you would want, I think he should be spoken about in the same light as that kid, right? So I'm excited about the prospect of having him as a starter alongside Billy Bowman as well. I think that you are going to be extremely talented and athletic in that secondary as well. Biggest thing is can Gentry stay healthy, because you got guys behind him that are coming. As excited as they were and still are about guys like Wagner, I mean, hey, and then I think one of the transfers that you got, I think the kid from San Diego State, a lot of people are really, really excited about him as well. On that other side,
I like him a lot.
Yeah, on that other side, you got Woody, but I mean, come on, man. I mean, you Kanai Walker, you got guys out there I think can get it. And if I may say, I'd say that I'm really interested to see what they do with Dolby. Do they leave him alone at Cheetah, let him work that spot? Because to me, you know, I'm on record as saying that I can't wait to see him be able to focus in on one spot, kind of like what Billy was able to do, because watching him this year, I felt like, hey, he played just like he did at NEO, right? He was just making plays all over the field. And I mean, that's what he does. It's natural. It's just natural to him. He's a natural football player, but it's going to be interesting to see what he does, because I think McCullough is going to have a terrific season. I think going to the SEC bodes well for him, especially.
Best for him, 100%. He gets to play going forward. He gets to. I guarantee you might even see him occasionally put a hand in the dirt on the rare occasion. I mean, he's a guy you got flexibility with. In my opinion, McCullough probably benefits most schematically from the move.
Mm-hmm. Guys, real quick, I just figured it out. It popped in my mind. Caleb Downs. That's who we're talking about.
That's who it is.
I don't know why his name was in my mind. But yeah, no. Look, I think that I really think that the defense is going to take it to that next level. I think that, you know, it's kind of funny because if you think about it in hindsight, when Venables got here, he talked about ruthless, suffocating, all these different adjectives that he had for what he envisioned the defense being. Felt like we were still a year away that first year, right? Second year, come in, he's talking about competitive depth. Still felt like we were about a year away from that, right? And it feels like this 24 season. I know a lot of people have a lot riding on the 25 season, but it looks like this 24 season is a season that you want to see all those things really come together and come to fruition. And I think you will with the defense. You got anything else to add about the defense?
Yeah, I think top 40. If you're a top 40 defense for Oklahoma this year in the SEC, and you're able to put another top 20, top 15 offense on the books, you're going to be in the hunt for a playoff spot and be able to win the thing. Anything better, great. But defensive line, last piece, they're going to be improved just by the influx of talent. And then guys like Trace Ford electing to stay another year, PJ getting another year of seasoning, some of the young guys growing up in the system, finally hitting maturity, being those 3 and 4 year players that Venables talks about. I think you'll see some growth.
And I'll just add this very, very last piece. I'll say this right here. I think that in times where things get tough, get a little bit close, or we need to kind of reel it in a little bit, Jackson will be able to rely on this defense. I think that's something that I think we both would agree to. So, Barry, I'll let you go. What's point number 2? What is the second reason why Jackson Arnold will be successful?
Now, I think point number 2 is cohesiveness with the offensive staff, right? A lot of people, when Lebby announced that he was leaving, the big names or who everybody was talking about, the big names or who people wanted. But at the end of the day, Venables has really kind of stated what he wants with this program, and that is cohesiveness before flash, right? You want good coaches. Luttrell is a good coach. I talked to people who not only know about Luttrell, but personally know Luttrell. He's a good coach. He knows ball. He cares about the program on a different level, right? Than other people would care about the program who are outsiders, right? So he's a guy who not only brings an offense that is very similar in a lot of the things they want to get done to what Lebby did, but was on staff. He's been there with Jackson. He's already been through a season, been through the fold. The last thing you wanted to do, and I think people didn't account for this like they should have, the last thing you want to do is tell your basically a true freshman starting his first year in the SEC, essentially saying, hey, we're going to give you a brand new offensive system and new OC for your first year in the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah.
Smart move by Venables, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely a smart move. You know, the name that what was that kid from OSU that was supposed to be the chosen one? Wes Lunt. That's
oh my gosh.
That's a name from left field.
That's a name.
Yeah, I mean it kind of felt like look, I was there to see that. It kind of felt like that's a name for you guys. That's a name for
Wes
you guys.
Lunt.
But yeah, no, look, I think the cohesiveness, I think that's the big thing, having Joe John stay as well. The biggest thing is I'm interested to see what wrinkles is he going to add to it, because now we're not playing off of Lebby's playbook like we did against Arizona. So what is different, you know? And I think reason why I'm excited about Latrell having this full off season to really prep Jackson Arnold is the fact that I feel like from all the things that I've seen from the North Texas film that I've watched, like I told you guys before, go and watch, just type in Mason Fine highlights. Okay. When you watch it, don't watch it just to see Mason Fine. Don't watch it just to see what receivers look like. No, watch it to actually learn the tendencies. Seth Latrell wants to push the ball down the field. It's not necessarily just, oh, we're going to air raid. No, we're going to take our shots because we believe our guys can win those 50-50 balls, but he wants to push the ball down the field. And guess what he's going to do for Jackson Arnold? He's not only going to simplify the game, but he's going to make Jackson Arnold think about, hey, we're going north and south. We're not doing east and west stuff. We're not trying to get cute with it. It's going to be a physical run game. We're going to run in between tackles. It's not too much changing. There's some slants in there, here and there, but it's not our go-to, right? It's not our default. And that was one of the problems I had with like the beer and shoot. I remember watching Baylor back in the day against OSU, and it just seemed like whenever things were not working, what's the default? Slant, no post, no trying to stretch the field, just trying to be concise and precise. And I get that. And I think everybody gets that. There's a lot of people that watch us that play Madden. They know how it is. You're playing against guys who nano blitz the entire time. You just got to basically say, hey, I'm going to nickel and dime it down the field if that's what you want me to do, since you have a free unblocked guy coming every time, right? Now, I know I'm comparing it to a video game, but I'm just trying to give you guys a clear example. But for me, if you watch the tendencies of a guy like Latrell, he wants to push the ball. He wants to go north and south. He wants to knock somebody off their butt, and he wants to get across that line. And that line is either the goal line or that line is to get a first down. He's all about that. And so when you look at what he's doing with the scheme, it's beautiful. And I think that you're going to see his style of this offense. I don't think that the verbiage or the language or whatever will change per se, but I think you're definitely going to see some things, especially with the talent that we have. Do you have another point? Because I think that segues into our third point.
Yep, I mean, we'll talk about some of the other pieces, but I would say second point that I'd like to add is just the skill that he's going to be throwing to.
Yeah,
right.
Wow, that's the third point. That's the third point right there.
Man, the receiver and running back position is, and I know there's questions at running back, but you're bringing in Tatum, but you've got some guys returning who are some players. But at receiver, I mean, just go talk about the names that you're going to have not only returning, but then OU made hay in the transfer portal this year. They got some guys that not only that they were targeting, but were key first go-to targets. to get in the transfer portal, and they succeeded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to have Nick Anderson, you have Gibson as well. You have Farouk, and yes, people, I know the fumbles and things like that, but I'm telling you, I think Farouk is due for his best season. He has to. His draft stock depends on it. I think he's going to be motivated this year. But you have those three. Outside of that, guys, you still got Andrell Anthony on there, and Andrell Anthony was on his way to having a terrific season before he tore his ACL, and I think that he's going to be healthy. I think he's going to be able to make it back.
He's the best receiver on the team.
Yeah,
he was like when he went down, he was the top dog.
He down,
changed the offense.
Yeah, when he went down, it felt like Levy changed the offense.
100%.
And so when you have those four guys, if those four guys are healthy, then those are your pretty much your main contributors. But come on, man, Deion Burks coming in there. Look, the thing is that I love Drake Stoops, and I'm happy about what he did for this program. But man, him graduating, him possibly going to the NFL, which I think he should be drafted. Just gonna say that again.
Yeah, he'll get a shot.
Texas fans out there, he is better than Jordan Whittington. I said it before, and I'll say it again. I think that he's an NFL player. Okay, but the thing is, I still think that you got better, because now do you move Farouk in there? Do you put Deion Burks there? Who do you put there? And not only that, but I think one of the secret weapons as well, I think Brennan Thompson is going to have a terrific year next year if he can stay healthy as well.
Man,
but when if you really want to be down, if you really want to talk about it, what freshman is going to step up and actually help? Because, man, and you know who I'm forgetting? I'm forgetting, before I even get to the freshman, Petaway. Petaway is still there.
Yep.
So, I mean, the speed and the variety of skill set is going to – Jackson Arnold is going to have a field day with the receivers he's throwing to.
Completely agree. But between the guys they were able to bring in a year ago and the development they've had, that I don't know who else in the SEC has a, maybe not as proven, right? But that's different. But in terms of just raw talent from top to bottom and ability, show me a team that's got better assets at the wide receiver position than Oklahoma. Right? If you were a coach saying which situation would I most want to inherit, you might pick the Sooners.
And I mean, it's going to be one of those things where, the knock on OU the past couple of years was they don't have a guy that we have to game plan for. And it's kind of hard to say that when you have Marvin Mims, who's a freaking Pro Bowler out there. But at the same time, I respect the sentiment, because I've seen, kind of dips and lapses in the product simply because of, I would say, just we haven't had the development, right, that we have now with Emmett Jones. And I think he's been a huge X factor. But I think next year, man, getting to those freshmen as well. I mean, Kearney, Raggins. I mean, dude, there's some talent that could pop up. So don't be surprised, guys. I mean, hey, look, I think that, yeah. But I would say running back wise, I feel better, because I feel like, for me, I saw that Eichern and Lehman were talking about who has to have a good winter. I mean, for me, I was telling my aunt, hey, look, Sawchuck is one of the guys who has to have a good winter, good spring, and good summer. Got to stay healthy. All those reps. We can't do mental reps this year. Can't do mental reps.
Yep.
Got to get those reps. Got to get those reps, and you got to hit the ground running. Barnes, same thing. It's do or die for him. It's do or die for him. It's either now or never. You got that freshman coming in. You don't want to get pushed down. But the thing is that you would like to see a couple of running backs be able to run that peel. And I think that Caleb Hicks is another guy. So, I mean, that room is competitive. You have the competitive depth, but it has to show. And we have to start the season, having a good run game. So, I would say, so obviously we hit that point. That's 3. What is your 4th point?
Man, I think it goes right there with the run game, brother. I think it's offensive line.
Yeah.
I think that this is, I want to hear your thoughts on this, potentially the most cohesive unit of, let me kind of frame this right. Beatenbow has now had his shopping list that he's wanted these past 3 recruiting cycles.
Yeah.
And I'm going to throw a name out there who showed up on the 2 deep that nobody is talking about, who went from probably 200 and maybe high 270s on like a 6'5", maybe 6'6" frame, probably closer to 6'5", and is well over 300 pounds and looks the part. And that's Logan Howland. I think he is a guy, you go and look at when he arrived and what he looks like now, man, do not sleep on him as a potential player for that right or left tackle spot, right? Everybody wanted to hit the portal, and they needed to, and they were able to win some guys. But, man, you got guys now that Beatenbow's had 2 or 3 years to work with, right? Your Taylors and Sextons, they're on the come up. Their time is now. Josh Bates, when he came in, guys thought he'd be able to get the job done. Everybody was very impressed with him early. He needs a good winter. He needs to continue to get stronger, get the body right. But, man, 3 years in now with Schmitty, Beatenbow's had his guys. I think there's a little bit of a test for Beatenbow, but the ingredients are there to give Arnold what he needs going into this first year.
Yeah, no, look, and I agree with you. I think, my question right now, if I could sit down with Beatenbow and ask him a question, I'd be like, Coach, what wins it for you this upcoming season? Is it talent or is it system? And the reason why I say that is because you have some talented youngsters coming in, the Eugene Brooks, Pierre Lewis. I think the kid from London. I don't want to say his last name because I always butcher it. But
Daniel Akinkunmi. Only know that because he told me personally how to pronounce that.
Akinkunmi. Okay, there you go. Yep. So you got some kids that could start day one, but you go out there and you get the North Texas transfer. You get Spencer Brown. You get a number of these guys, and you get Tarek. Obviously, you got that one of the Hatchet brothers. I mean, you got guys that, and the reason why I say system is because you went out there and got talented guys with experience. Or do you stay with the guys who have actually been here those 2 or 3 years and for the experience? Because, one thing my uncle says all the time, and I think some OU fans would agree with this statement. I want to see Beatenbow move away from, let's tinker with it, let's mess with it because we want to get our best 5 out there together at some point. My uncle wants to see him move away from that and say, no, this is my best 5 right now. Like, these are my guys.
I agree.
If injuries happen, if something else happens, or whatever the case may be, then I got guys that will come up. That's the part of their competitive depth, right? But we're hitting the ball rolling. We play Temple. No, we knocking heads. Like we knocking heads and we're moving people, And so I'm kind of leaning more towards that because I kind of feel like once we get to this SEC, we don't have time to sit there and tinker with it and try to mess with it, all that, because the thing is that what's the game before Texas? I think it is Auburn. And so
it's a team.
Auburn's going to be ready for us. And that's not a trap game. That's a game that you say, hey, look, Hugh Freeze throughout that season last year, even with the limited talent that he had on the roster, he still had that place humming. And he still came this close to beating some teams, Bama, right? So I think the thing is that I would like to see that transition happen. Now, will it happen? I don't know. What's your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, and people know on Twitter, I've been hard on Beatenbow at times, right? Because I think the criticism for how the offensive line has performed and the lack of high school development, I think is fair, I think it's something that's not been as present as it needs to be at a place like Oklahoma. And I think sometimes fans forget that. I'm not talking about the standard for if you're at OSU and you're trying to just win 8 to 10 games. No, if you're at Oklahoma, your 4 and 5 star offensive line recruits have got to pan out every once in a while and stick with the program. Otherwise, you're recycling guys all the time. You need that cohesiveness. And I agree. You don't have time in this conference. And I would imagine that he knows this going into this year. I would imagine that he says, you know what? I don't think we can play around with these teams early on. We've got to at least know. And then maybe you got an or at like right guard or an or at right tackle. But your main guys, you need to know your best 6 or 7 right from the jump.
And I think one thing I'll say, and this is what I would give him. I think I won't say it's because of a lack of effort or anything like that. And I think the development is there because you see good things from these kids. It's just not consistent. And I don't necessarily know if that's on beating mode because fact of the matter is that, look, I think Andrew Raym is going to probably get drafted probably in later rounds. But for Andrew Raym to look good, you have to surround him by some maulers. And for the past couple of years, I don't think that you've had real physical maulers because obviously Bird was supposed to be that guy, but for whatever reason, that just never panned out. And I get what you're saying, 4 or 5 stars have to pan out, but it never panned out. But everybody else, Matuire, guys like that, I just felt like they never good college starting guards. Obviously, you already know, I'm not going to say any names, but, former Sooner that's in Missouri right now, that's what you felt like you were going to get from that kid going forward was a mauler. And that's what made those are things that made life easier on Raym because Raym didn't have to, because you already know if he's facing a more athletic or just a more physical nose tackle, that's whenever he tends to struggle. So the thing for me is that I think you get better in the interior as well going forward now. And I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited about it. So let's just go ahead and get to the last point and we'll get up out of here off of this one, man. But I think that the last reason, the 5th reason why Jackson Arnold will be successful in 2024 is because of this. Folks, if you've ever played any type of sport at any level, it could be junior high, it could be high school, college, if you're a pro athlete or whatever, we all have had that one game that left a sour taste in our mouth and made us motivated, right? It just motivated us. Biggest takeaway that you could say from that game is this right here, okay, against Arizona. The mistakes that he made are fixable, okay? And those are not things that you can fix overnight, but with proper preparation, okay, that will prevent the poor performance, right? So the thing is that we're talking about timing issues. We're not sitting here talking about, now, I'm not going to, for all the DG folks, I'm not sitting here trying to pound sand on him or beat a dead horse over the head. But I will say, I'd rather have the overthrows than have the underthrows, right? Timing issues, different things like that. There was 2 interceptions, right? One interception, that guy just made a hell of a play. I mean, that was a rocket that he launched over the middle, and that linebacker caught that.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah,
that was just
it was a little bit of it was a heady veteran play.
Yeah,
but it was also just that was him not playing elite D1 linebackers who can do stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's what that was.
That was very instinctual. That was a very instinctual play. But then you go to the other pick that he had. Don't get me wrong, he had a fumble or 2 in there, but you go to the other pick he had. Let's be real. Farouk doesn't fumble that. Farouk doesn't fumble twice in that game, we should win that game pretty easily, maybe by 2 touchdowns, because the fact
I think
of
they
the matter,
do, man.
yeah,
I
you're
think
up
they do.
24. You're up 24-14. You were down 14-0. You saw the growth. You saw the maturation. And the thing that you still have to understand, this is what I was telling the Texas fans. Shout out to Nick from Nino's Corner. I told him, he said, you know what? Well, are you still high on Jackson Arnold? Yes. And all the mistakes that he made are easily, they're fixable. Okay. But not only that, the thing you got to think about is this. He grew up in that game. And then on top of that, he still threw for he threw for 300 plus yards in that game, and would have probably had 3 or 4 touchdowns instead of just the 2 if it wasn't for the fumbles and miscues like that. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
the thing is that I think Jackson Arnold, you can't teach that type of talent. And I think that's something that people got to understand. And I'm not making the comparison, but I'm saying this right here. Look at what Spencer Rattler has been able to do. I think Spencer Rattler's biggest problem, quite honestly, has always been that his arm is just so freaking talented. He has one of the, if not the most talented arm, and one of the most talented arms in college football and going to the NFL. And when you're just relying on that talent, but I think that getting the coaching and getting kind of just that, hey, look, let's calm down, let's chill out, lose the ego, all the rest of that stuff from Beamer. It's the same thing that BV, Latrell, and all those guys that Jackson Arnold trusts is going to tell him, right? So I think that going into the next year, I think that, one, you got a sour taste in your mouth. You want to prove a point. And then 2, I think that those mistakes are correctable, okay? I think that you could correct them. And then 3, I just feel like he understands that this could be, if not the moment, then a start of the moment for OU kind of making that next step into being what I would consider, again, an elite. We're an elite program, but as far as being an elite college football team, top 5 team ranked nationally, being ready to really take that next step to go make the playoffs, not only make the playoffs, but go further in the playoffs, especially now since it's 12 team. So I digress, and I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, man. I love everything you said. I think you're dead on. I think it's a game where hadn't played all year. You get thrust into it with a new OC. And here's a thought experiment, right? Now, as you were talking about the game he played, if you take away both fumbles by Farouk for sure, but you take away just one of them, especially the late game one, because that also, that was immediately led to a score, and that just turned the tide. OU probably wins even with the first fumble. The second fumble was the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
Right. You take that away, Jackson's probably your Alamo Bowl MVP. So that is the context. Who else was going to get it?
Yeah.
Maybe a Stutzman had a pretty good game for a stretch in there, but Jackson has some throws that were elite. And as you said, man, the mistakes were correctable. Me and Damian talked about it immediately after the podcast. The interception on the throw to Stoops, Damian said, brother, that's just film study. Yeah. That's just knowing that you can't throw that ball like that against that coverage. And next year, he'll line up pre-snap, and he'll know that. Will teams try to confuse him? Of course, but he'll know that from the beginning and say, oh, man, I got Stoops, but I'm going to have to put it on a rope because I'm not going to be able to put air underneath because that safety is going to be able to cover that half of the field. Mm-hmm. And that's what he'll know next season. I think you talk about Rattler, that's a good analogy because Rattler has had success in the SEC. But I'll just say this with Jackson. See, he has some of and we saw it in the game, he has some of the best feet from a 5-star prospect that we have seen on a quarterback in a long time at Oklahoma. And I'm talking about Kyler was very fast and had really good feet, but Jackson has Baker Mayfield level feel in the pocket when it comes to navigating pressure, knowing where it's at. You still see Baker do it in the NFL now in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
He still had that same moxie. I think Jackson brings a level of proficiency in the pocket with a full season of being the guy, being the leader, right? Where I think his impact and growth with the team this offseason is going to be exponential for what they become going into this first year of the SEC.
Yeah, I agree. Well, folks, look, we've been on here 35 minutes talking about 5 reasons why Jackson Arnold will be successful in 2024 in the move to the SEC. Hey, look, guys, this is not going to be the last time that you guys see Barry with me. Going to have some more videos or whatnot. If you guys like what you're hearing, like what you're seeing, like, subscribe, share, do all those things. Trying to get this channel to 1,000 subscribers. We're halfway there, a little bit over halfway there. Yeah, for sure. So, hey, like, subscribe, do all those things. Barry, tell everybody where they can find you, man.
Yeah, man. Barry and Mack Show. Me and Damian Mackey, former Sooner wide receiver, 2000 national champ. But hey, they need to make it 2024, right?
Yeah.
That needs to stop being the last class. We talk about it about every other show. We keep bringing it up. So go check us out. We got some big things brewing on the podcast. So make sure to keep in tune. But Be Wise Fitness on all social media at letter B WISE Fitness. You can find me Instagram, X, all of the places. Go take a look, see what I'm posting.
All right. That being said, we out. Horns down.
You know, there's a lot of great OU podcasts, but there's only one